So for me, my creative process, it connects with the name that I've now discovered about myself, which is nameless, is that what happens, it's like a state of being.
Mm,
When I'm in a state of being of nameless, which means I have no place, no time, or anything like that, ideas from all place, all time comes to me.
mm,
And within that space, it's like a dance with the world and an invisible world, if that
mm,
makes sense. And with that, I'm able to take ideas from anywhere and put it into my own form. So
mm,
let's take poetry for instance. I put on my headphones or my earphones and I listen to a song
mhm,
and I get myself in a very deeply emotional state. And then from that state, I am just now distracted from the outside world. I'm
mm,
distracted from the problems or what's going on with this person or that person. My heart opens up, and now I'm feeling everything around me. And from that space, I'm also feeling worlds.
mm,
And then I'm able to translate what I'm feeling, what I'm seeing with my mind's eye onto the pen and paper
mm,
and be able to ground it into something that others can see.
mm,
This is the same thing with like motion art. I may look at an image that is still, that doesn't have any movement whatsoever, it's stagnant. And then I look at that image, I'm like, well, what if I add smoke to it? What if I make
mm,
the person move? What if I add another background to it? And I
mhm,
see it as I'm looking at the image of what it could be.
mm.
And then I put those things within the image and then I see what I already saw before. And I'm like, ah, oh, this is what it is. And so this a lot of time my creative process, and it only happens most fluently when I'm in a state of nameless. Because the
Mm,
moment I attach a perception or I attach a personality to it, then I become limited. I try to work within those expectations. And now I'm not able to deliver what has been given to me.
mm,
And it's the same thing that happens when I speak, when I do my inspirational speaking or when I freestyle. The moment I give myself the expectation of Traydon or all these different names, now I can't deliver in my perfectly imperfect fashion
mm.
that others can connect to more abundantly.
Brother, you just dropped the gem. You dropped the gem. I think that is such a for many people, that's such an insightful way, right? A different perspective, because oftentimes we limit ourselves by our
Mhm,
personality, right? By just saying
mhm,
the extent of who we are is this physical body, or the
mhm,
title or the roles that we've conferred upon ourselves or that other people conferred upon us. And so
mhm,
for you talking about, you know, allowing Traydon to be here and just be the vehicle, right? Just
mhm,
to it's coming from the source of all possibilities, and
mhm,
you're just the message through it, right? The vehicle through which it's expressed is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, to get to that space where you say, you know what, I'm just nameless, I'm
mhm,
nameless, and that allows you to be almost like water, right?
mhm.
To
Right,
be like water and to
right.
flow and to move through different iterations, different expressions of how life
Mhm,
wants to express itself through you.
mhm.
That's
Yeah,
powerful. Bro. That is powerful.
yeah.
What kind of work did you do to get to that space, to be able to surrender from what
Uh,
you see, to get to nameless?
it it was it's been a interesting, difficult, and I would say very much destructive journey. Destructive in the sense of you have to destroy who you think you are,
That part.
and that is some of the most hard things to do. One of the things that I've noticed as that has been my struggle is letting go.
Hmm.
Uh, when I was a child, I was able to be free and different things like that. But once I realized that I can have a very fixated, uh, I can have a very fixated energy. So
Hmm.
once I take on a name or I take on something, it becomes fixated inside of me. So then it's hard for me to let go of it.
Hmm.
So when I was free, I was fixated on just doing and being in this space. But then once I got these expectations from the world, I became fixated on them and attached to them. And it went through a process of me constantly, in a sense, as Jordan Peterson says, burning off the dead wood that's no longer me. That came in situations where I got bullied, which came in situations where I had to get on stage and speak in front of hundreds of people and my legs shaking. I'm like, oh my gosh. Or like the relationships that I've been in, the friendships that I've had to basically help, and some of the things that I had to go through to be able to, in a sense, hold on to nothing. Most hardest thing in the world, because everyone calls you a name and then boom, that name pops in and you go back to density of what that name means to other people's perceptions of you. And so to be able to let that go and just decide that I'm going to be this at this moment, and then the next moment I'm going to be this, and then people's like, oh my gosh, you're inconsistent. You can't be this. Was a something that I very much had to I had to basically become aware of. And one of the ways that I freed myself is through writing in poetry. When I became a poet, or when I discovered that within my archetype, I was able to be anybody depending on what that poem required me to be. So it gave me permission to act as anybody if I created the poem that could allow me to do so. So it became my medium. My poem was expressing a confident person. If it was expressing this or expressing that, I was able to become that because that's what the poem required. And I was within actor mode, theater mode. And so then at a while of doing that, I watched actors and I started to research some of them, and I started to ask questions like, dang, like, how do they go back to being themselves after they have played that script for so long? And then I had to ask myself that with my poems. And then I realized that my poems was changing my personality and changing me and how I saw myself. And so then I had to ask myself this question, like, who am I? And that became a recurring thing the more that I went through. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to release everything that's not me. And I'm doing that. And I'm like, that's like everything. What's going on here? Like, what do I do now?
What's left?
And then and then it became the expectations of parents. Then it became even financial stuff, because I was getting attached to that to tailor to my identity. And then after a while, I just was like, I'm going to world build now. I'm going to go back to what I did when I was trying. I'm going to world build and create stories to where I can inhabit and go within on daily basis, and to be and help those to be my ground.